What's up, all you hot tamales out there? I wanted to make this video to pretty much talk about what I feel like the state of Riftbound is for your novice Lee Sin players out there, the amateur Lee Sin players out there that probably haven't gotten to fully build out their decks. That's me, myself. I'm in that camp. I have yet to pull the trigger, spend the hundreds of dollars to fully equip my deck with all the best cards, with all the alternate arts and everything out there. I've gone to a couple of Nexus nights, and so I feel like I've gotten a little bit of experience on how the deck is. But I kind of just wanted to talk about what I feel like the state of the game is right now for Lee Sin players that don't want to spend $200 or whatnot to get the best deck. Um, I feel like the deck has potential, and I'm having a lot of fun playing the game and playing the deck, playing Lee Sin, being the only Lee Sin player at my game store that's running the deck. But I have no idea what the ceiling is because I just do not have the cards to, I can't say, oh, I've tried every single different composition in the deck because I just don't have access to the cards. Not that I don't have access, but I just haven't wanted to buy the cards to do that. And without, having used all the cards at my disposal to figure out, how good is actually the deck, it kind of leaves me wondering. So the fact that there's such a shortage of cards, I can't go. I've honestly tried going to many game stores, calling different game stores to see, does anyone have any product? And the answer's always been no. I was lucky recently to find a game store that had a starter deck, but it's not like I really need a starter deck. I just bought it for like a Christmas present. Um, so my only way of getting more cards is paying the market price on online. So there's definitely like versions of the deck that I've wanted to try. Like right now this is my current deck list that I've got. I only have one seal of focus. I would love to try it with two or three or the other seals that are possible to me to see is it worth running? Should I run one? Should I run two? I just haven't been able to experiment like that. I've really only been able to experiment with Lee Sin with the cards I have. So the current deck list, luckily enough, I did pull a Dragon's Rage, which was super helpful. But maybe I want to run two. I just don't know. Um, I do think with the cards I have, uh, the cards I have access to, um, I think the way I feel like the game should be played is definitely not what I was expecting when I first started playing. And for example, I think the game is very currently swayed toward attacking and not so much defending. And I feel like Lee Sin, from the cards I have access to, it's all about defending and holding. But when you have Darius, Thousand Eyed Watcher, um, coming at you, it's really hard to hold those positions. And I think, as I've played matches, I've kind of learned that maybe holding it down with Caitlyn and a super buffed up Lee Sin is not the way to go because you're just going to get pushed in by, a Darius super buffed up or a Thousand Eye Watcher just destroying the might of all your cards. And I think, the way us Lee Sin players out there are going to be able to get ahead is identifying when we cannot hold the position without seeing any units on our opponent's battlefield. I think that, and then pulling them off the base, maybe just leaving one unit, if not even that, because what's happening is having your units at a battlefield has become a liability in a lot of my games. Most of the games I'm losing because I am just getting fully pushed in by a Darius, a Thousand Eye Watcher, um, a Mundo, some just crazy stuff where it's like there's no way I can react to it, especially with when they get accelerated or Darius gets readied. Um, there's just no reaction. Outside of what I've learned is, Rune Prism seems to be super clutch. I feel like stun, especially in the next set, I feel like being able to stun attacking units is going to be super good. And right now, I just don't think a lot of people see that. And it's just no one's running green or yellow to stun things. Um, I feel like being able to stun has been super helpful because then it just stuns that one big attacker. Um, Also, what I didn't even think about recently is in my last Nexus night, I literally had someone drop two Dariuses on me, and they both get ready at the same time. That's like 14 damage, 14 might, all in with 10 cost, and it's like there's no way I'm going to be able to build a battlefield to defend against that. And then, and the kicker is, they can just play retreat and bring it back if you do have something, and then they can just try to do it again next turn. Those heavy monsters coming in, or those big might monsters coming in and wrecking battlefields, and then also just the big spells like Grand Strategist or Time Warp. Those other spells I just haven't been able to combat with, and those spells I actually think there's an out for us, Lee Sin green color players, because we have we either have the Wind Wall or we have the Mystic Reversal, but both of those cards I haven't gotten to be able to use, so it's just another thing where it's like maybe those things will work, but I just don't have the access to play those cards. The Grand Mystic Reversal, I think it's almost like a $20 card. So I wanted to play, from just looking at it, I think I'd probably want to play two. That's $40. I'd probably double the price of my current deck. And, maybe that's just me being stingy, not wanting to pull the trigger on buying cards. But that's why this video is for the novice Lee Sin players out there that are trying to see what works and aren't wanting to spend money. I feel like we're just in a little bit of a waiting game until either prices come down, or a lot of the cards I have been able to get is actually just going to Nexus Knights and then being able to pull cards out of the Nexus pack, or just the two cards you get. The way that my local game store does it is that we get one Nexus Knight and then 2 packs, no matter what. Everyone gets that. So whether you win all your matches or lose them all, everyone's pretty much getting the same thing. And I feel like, this is probably just from my own surroundings problems, but if I was going to a Nexus Knight that, gave more prizing to people that won, I'd probably be more incentivized to get a better deck, probably spend the money. But because my game store I go to keeps the pricing the same for everybody, no matter what, I just don't really care if I'm going in there and losing. I guess at this moment I'm just going in there to gather intel, to see what I like. So I definitely think us Lee Sin players need to be able to experiment more with how our decks are. When I first used Caitlyn, I really liked Caitlyn. When I first used the Wielder of Water card, I really liked those cards. But I found that especially Wielder of Water late game, it just hasn't been good. Caitlyn just the scenarios where I can hold a battlefield long enough to then use her ability to snipe the opposing battlefield just hasn't come up enough. I think those are probably the cards I'm going to cut next. The next cards I want to try, if I ever get access to them, is the Mystery Reversal, Wind Wall, also another, and Primal Strength. Primal Strength I did not think was going to be a good card, to be honest, even though it's got the best League of Legends character on it, Gnar. I feel like Primal Strength actually might be really good, especially against Thousand Eyed Watcher Darius, because that 7+ might that you're going to give a unit when they're pushing in on you would pretty much be enough to stop it. When I first saw the card, I was like, 4 might, 1 energy for just a 7 might for 1 turn seemed super terrible, because you're just getting that 7 might for 1 turn. But really, what it seems like Lee Sin is best at is actually being able to react to a lot of stuff. That's why we have the Defies. That's why we have the Discipline. So I think using, what card was I just talking about? Primal Strength. Primal Strength would actually be pretty good. So I'd like to try Primal Strength, but I just don't have Primal Strength to try to use it. Also, the strategy that I've tried using with Udyr, it seems like most of the time I'm too far behind to be able to drop Udyr to use his moves. It seems more like a lot of the cards that I currently have in this deck is very much setting up the board, and by the time I can set up my board, I'm already too behind and late. And in this, deck list I have, Udyr is the only card I have that I'd be able to ready as soon as I play it. Everything else, it's not a fast-moving card, right? Where a lot of the other decks have like accelerating cards. That's why I've kind of toyed back in my mind of actually using the orange Lee Sin just as my legend unit, just so I always have access to an accelerated unit. I do actually have that card, so maybe I could try it. I just like green Lee Sin so much because I can pretty much play it if I go second every single time, turn 2, and then start buffing him up. But maybe that's the wrong strategy. I don't know. I actually think I would like to try a deck list that is very much ramp focused and just getting the big cards out. I've also thought maybe Sona would be a really good card actually, because she lets you refresh 4 runes at the the end of your turn, and 4 runes, that could be Primal Strength, that could be Mystic Reversal, that could be any of the other reactionary cards or action cards that are less than 4 runes. You use 2 of those. So Sona, maybe Sona is actually pretty good. I'm not sure. I would like to try a deck list with Sona if I ever get Sona, but I just don't have it yet. So, when I first started playing Riftbound, I just bought the Lee Sin starter deck and kept going with it. I see all these other decks out there that look fun, but I think I'm going to keep with Lee Sin just because I'm enjoying it so much. I see a lot of potential in it, and also it just makes it cheaper. So I'm going to be sticking with Lee Sin for a while. I'm curious on all you other Lee Sin players out there. What are your thoughts? What is your deck list? Is there anything in my deck list that you think is so terrible? Let me know. I would love to, talk to other Lee Sin players out there, because at my local game store, there's almost, I don't even know another Lee Sin player. I am the Lee Sin player at my local game store, which I like and I don't like, but I just have no one to bounce ideas off of. I remember when I was the very first, when my local game store first, started doing Riftbound, there was like a couple Lee Sin players with other starter decks, and then never saw them again. And I'm the only one that's still keeping on with it. So please, in the comments, if there's, if you got any tips, I'm all ears. Let me know what you think I should take out of my deck. Let me know what you think I should put into it. Other things I should try. Blitzcrank. I haven't even been able to try Blitzcrank. I do have Blitzcrank, but I just don't know where to fit it in. So there's so many different variants of this deck I want to try out, but just don't have all the cards. Dazzling Aurora, the card that it's like a 9 cost, lets you get a card out at the end of your turn. That's like a $70 card, I think, right now. I actually think that'd be really good in this deck, but I'm not spending $200 to get 3 of them. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I really like the deck. I think there's potential, but maybe the potential is just hope, because I just haven't been able to be decimated with the deck that I want to play with, right? So anyways, like, subscribe, comment, especially comment if you're a Lee Sin player. I want to hear from you guys. Give me some feedback. If you guys want to see more of these videos, hopefully you guys stick around and subscribe. Anyways, guys, I will see you guys in the next one. All you hot tamales out there, see ya. Have a good one.